And away they go. A mile and a quarter ahead of them. Restrained Royal D-side as he left the stalls. Martin Harley dropping him in as they race then for this home of racing maiden stakes. 9 runners. Out in front then is Midnight Lion, showing just ahead then, I think, of on the inside there. That is Expressionless, settling down. Prominent as well is Cannon Rock in the Royal Blue jacket. Mildy Jammer there as well. Sir Lawrence Graf is racing handily in about 4th or 5th place, just behind Divya. Autolycus on the outside in the black with the light blue armlets is racing just ahead there of Macho Sun in the black and white. Royal D-side still continues towards the rear of the field then, as the runners continue now on towards the final 6 furlongs of the contest. Then they've raced through the first half mile or so. And Midnight Lion taken on by Mildy Jammer on the near side in the blue and green chevrons. Up the inside there is Expressionless. They're being trapped then by Cannon Rock in the Royal Blue together with Sir Lawrence Graf. Divya, Tom Marquand in the claret colours behind then. Just ahead then of Autolycus on the outside and Rob Hornby, followed then by Macho Sun, the black and white, and Royal D-side still looking on up the inner as they race on down now past the half-mile marker. About 7 lengths would separate them. Midnight Lion trying to shake them all off here. He's striding out in front with some purpose. Here on the near side, though, is Mildy Jammer. Cannon Rock is angling up the inside, then switch to the inner and begins to stay on with 2.5 furlongs to go. Expressionless next to the rail, battling on. And now Sir Lawrence Graf is in the clear with every chance on the outside. They've gone past the 2 furlong marker and racing down the hill. Sir Lawrence Graf just from on the inside, Cannon Rock, as Midnight Lion gives way back in 3rd. Divya is back in 4th, but now they reach the rising ground. It's all about stamina. Sir Lawrence Graf taken on by Cannon Rock on the outside. On the inside, I should say, it's Ryan Moore and Will Buick, and it's Cannon Rock who's staying on the better and goes on to win. A double for Will Buick and Charlie Appleby. Cannon Rock beats Sir Lawrence Graf, Divya, and staying on behind them, eye-catchingly, was Royal D-side.
That's a quick double for Charlie Appleby and for the champion jockey William Buick in the Blue of Godolphin. And in this very race last year, the team won it with New London, who went off favourite for a St Ledger. This gelded son of Fastnet Rock, Cannon Rock, has run down and beaten Sir Lawrence Graf, who for a lot of it, certainly the closing stages, looked the likeliest winner. Emerging for 3rd was Divya, and a good run from the 4th as well. But familiar business after our previous race. It's Godolphin again.
It was. I don't think it's in a New London, first of all, but I did think it was obvious after a furlong we were going to see a better Cannon Rock. Not saying it was obvious it was going to win, but whereas it raced lazily on debut, this one it broke nicely coming out of the stalls, soon took a position that William Buick wanted and travelled much more kindly. And in the end, he had a bit too much for Sir Lawrence Graf, who I suspect has run pretty close to his mark again, which tells you a bit about the race. It was nice to see Divya return to some form. This is much more like the Divya we saw at Ascot, and in fact she's going to stay even further. This daughter of Galileo, she was staying on strongly, and it was an improved run by Royal D-side. I think that's the best run. Again, stayed on from virtually last to be where it was. Midnight Lion, having seen it again, I'm fairly convinced that horse wants, I think will be best when he gets top of the ground, or proper good ground. I know he's got form on softish ground at Goodwood, but his action to me suggests that a better surface would suit him.
Because both he and Mardy Jammer, who were towards the front, Mildy Jammer, were in the end relatively well beaten. You can see your winner, who was towards the centre, Sir Lawrence Graf as well, got that little bit of cover in behind the filly Mildy Jammer. I hasten to throw that I don't think that the second would have been outstayed necessarily, because I think he's got plenty of stamina. He's just been beaten by one who, on the second start, up in trip, cheek pieces on as well, has learnt his craft a bit from the debut.
He's had 5 runs for the runner-up. I think he's run well most times, and I think he is roughly what he is. I mean, he's a mark. I think the low 80s is probably about right, within a pound or two. So I don't think we're talking about form like last year. And he'll find a race. I don't think he did much when he travelled well through the race. When Ryan Moore brought him out, you thought he was probably going to win. But I don't think he's done an awful lot wrong today. The runner-up, who's only having his second run, was just a bit too strong for him. But I agree, I don't think his lack of stamina. I just think the other one was slightly better.
Because I know he was run out of it a little bit at Chelmsford by Fink first the other day, but he will be winning his race.
Yeah, it looked more application at Chelmsford than today, didn't it, really? I thought today he's travelled pretty kindly and he's seen the race out pretty well. I just think on the day he was bested by a horse who was a bit better than him. And just looking in behind, as I say, the Alan King runner, Royal D-side, has, I think, definitely taken a step forward. They settled him really nicely. He's come from a long way back, but he stayed on very encouraging. And Divya is definitely a horse who wants further. You can see she's going to be a mile and a half definite filly next year. She hit a flat spot and she stayed on really strongly. Never going to catch the first two, but was closing them down gradually, and she's a staying filly.
And
I'm
this was more in keeping with what you would have
Ascot.
expected from the third, exactly,
absolutely.
rather than the second.
She showed distinct promise that day. At Haydock it all went wrong, but today this was much, much more like it, and she'll find races next year, but I'm sure she's a mile and a half plus filly.
I did like the way in the most of the race, Midnight Lion, who has faded out of it and in the end finished, I think, fifth as the protagonist pulled clear. He'd done his running by this point, but from what you're saying, just with a certain set of conditions for the horse that's finished fifth, you'd be keen to keep on side.
He's a really scopy filly. He's shown ability at good, but it's less so poor next time. It's better today. I just got a feeling watching him that he might be a horse who will turn out best on a sounder surface.
So while we haven't maybe seen a new London, maybe more one or two with the profile of a Pied Piper potentially, won this race a couple of years ago. I guess it's that kind of race. You're not going to get, we've talked about this earlier, we've got a 10 furlong nursery later, we've got the Zetland, of course, over this distance, but it's not a distance on the Roddy Mile you tend to get an awful lot of 2-year-old races, is it?
No, no. Obviously, it's a real test of stamina for 2-year-olds, and that's clearly what the winner needed. I mean, he got every inch of the 10 furlongs well, didn't he?
Again, William Buick, who's had a winner, has had a second already. There are strong chances to come. He's got Military Order, who's trading shorts, and one or two others as well, including the filly who makes a handicap debut, of course, in the fillies race, the only non-2-year-old race. So, again, I said that he'd be disappointed, and we agreed that if he'd not got the second on the board, I think he'll be probably feeling the same if the third doesn't come as well. Given this didn't look necessarily the absolute banker of the rest of the pack.
He's got the next two favourites, I think, Castle Way, and as you say, he's a short price favourite in the last 2-year-old, last novice race.
Yeah. But he's had a double, and it's back-to-back wins in this particular race for Godolphin Charlie Appleby, Angus.
Yeah, and it's certainly not out of the question that they win the next 3 on the card. You would have thought. Represented by Castleway and One Nation, then they've got Light of Peace and then Military Order in the one after that. But Cannon Rock 9-2 beats the Lawrence Graff, the 5-4 favourite, and Divya was 12-1 back in third, 9 run. Take a look at that time. It's slow as well, 2 minutes 8.47 over a mile.